In the final section of the tunnel, the engineers adjusted their course. The million-dollar moment had arrived. After 3,000 feet of tunneling, the two teams met to within 2 feet of each other. Samos, the Manhattan of the ancient world, at last had a water supply.
I think when they did this, they were just 60 centimeters apart, which is a fantastic feat of engineering.
The Samos water tunnel supplied up to 10,000 people with water. Yet as the ancient city builders grew in ambition, they needed technology that could supply water on a truly epic scale. And this called for the limitless ingenuity of the Romans. At its height 2,000 years ago, Rome was a superpower just like America today. Rome's empire was home to over 120 million people across 3 continents and 2.5 million square miles of land. So how did the Romans produce enough water to quench the thirst of their gargantuan empire? In Gresham Street, in the heart of central London, archaeologists in 2001 made an intriguing discovery. They found the remains of what appears to be a Roman water wheel. Out of these broken fragments, leading engineer Tony Taylor hopes to unravel the secrets of the Roman water engineers. Through careful, ancient detective work, he is seeking to reconstruct a water wheel that matches the Roman designs.
We formed a team to create the reconstruction. Our first objective, though, was to understand as best as we could from the artifacts themselves what form the reconstruction should take.
Tony's quest sees him draw upon evidence from Roman drawings and artifacts and ancient water wheels all over the world. Then he uses state-of-the-art computer imaging to design his Roman water wheel in 3 dimensions. The final results of the team's reconstruction are located at the Museum of London.
So we have here just the 2 slaves, and they are rotating this capstan. This in turn turns these upper gears on the horizontal here, and that in turn turns the horizontal axis with the vertical gear, which takes us across the drive shaft into the drive wheel. The drive wheel is a very complex component. It is carrying a double chain with the buckets attached, which rotate over the top of the wheel and then discharge into the channel here where the water is taken away at high level. Inside that wheel, you can see that the water is discharging at points through these V-shaped cutouts in the timber.
The largest of all the Roman water wheels were truly enormous machines, driven by up to 50 slaves at a time. Even this small water wheel can produce an incredible amount of water.
We believe we're producing as much as 15 to 18,000 gallons a day.
From this small contraption, enough water could be produced to allow almost 300 people to wash, drink, clean, and cook every day. This water wheel was just one of a network of thousands of water wheels in the empire that fed a system of man-made stone canals called aqueducts. The combined length of all Rome's aqueducts would stretch over 300 miles, providing cities throughout the empire with fresh water.
The Romans were particularly proficient at providing their citizens with water. If you look at Rome at the height of its power, when there are about 1 million people living there, they managed to guarantee that every single person is going to have access to about 250 gallons of water per person. I mean, that's much more than we can expect to have today.
Once the ancient engineers were able to generate all the water they needed, they developed entertainment extravaganzas that made water flow uphill. New York is the city that never sleeps. Movies, musicals, and shows run 24 hours a day. On Broadway alone, 12 million people every year buy tickets to the grandest, most extraordinary shows on the planet. Yet the birth of these entertainment extravaganzas can be traced to the birth of ancient cities themselves. a time when people flooded into the ancient cities and a wealth of new jobs were created, from bankers to lawyers to architects.
And some people in those cities become much, much richer than others through trade, through natural prowess, through strength and good health and being proficient in war. As soon as you get people who are top dogs, those top dogs decide they don't want to work that hard. They want other people to do their dirty work for them.
In Alexandria, in around 100 BC, members of the elite invited inventors to wild and extravagant parties. The most successful of these showmen was a man named Huron.
Huron in particular was a great showman, and he enjoyed publicising his work, and he did this in numerous ways, we believe. One was to give sort of small intimate demonstrations of some of his pieces, like dinner parties to the elite, the initiated, the educated.
He would arrive at high society functions and demonstrate new and exciting gadgets and gizmos to his audience. Over 1,500 years before New York was even founded, Huron invented a way of making water flow uphill. Unlike the fountains of Central Park or downtown New York, his device operated without electricity or pumps, or even any human power. How Huron achieved this has been a mystery for 2,000 years. Richard Windley, model-making chief of the Ancient Discoveries team, thinks he knows the answer.
So what we have basically is a bowl here which is going to be filled with liquid. So what happens is when that valve's opened, all the water from this top vessel will run as quickly as the tube will allow down into a glass vessel below, which is sealed. As it fills up, it compresses the air in that vessel, forces it up a pipe. This air pressure then comes into the vessel which is above here.
The fountain's tubes and chambers form a totally sealed system. Neither air nor water can escape. So when the water falls, the air is forced upwards and into the second chamber. This new air in turn forces the water up and into the bowl.
I'll fill the vessel up now, lift the valve, and we can see if it actually works.
Huron's fountain was said to have literally defied gravity. And if Richard's model works, the fountain should be able to refill again and again for hours on end.
I'll just lift the valve out now. We can see the water is draining from this top vessel as fast as that pipe will carry it really down into the bottom vessel. That's starting to fill up. The pressure of that water under gravity is compressing the air in that bottom vessel. The pressure's building up, and as it comes into this top one, we should any minute now get a spurt of water out of the top one, which should land in the bowl, hopefully. Yes, there we go, it's starting to work now. And hopefully that should squirt into the bowl, or possibly a bit beyond. Yeah, there it goes, there it goes. Now the bowl's starting to get towards the end, so the pressure's dropping right back, and the jet has almost ceased now.
But as entertainment developed, audiences demanded ever more advanced technical wizardry. While Huron developed magical theaters, other inventors set about creating the world's first cinemas. To many, the birth of the glitzy, glamorous world of cinema began around the time of the first stars, like Charlie Chaplin. Yet the true origins of cinema are in fact over 1,600 years earlier, and 5,000 miles to the east. In the Three Kingdoms period, around the 3rd century AD, local stories began to tell of a mythical form of sorcery, a dark art producing terrifying moving images.
Right up until the 16th century, when Jesuit missionaries actually brought back reports of some of these scientific advances that China had already achieved. And one of the things that reoccurs several times is this idea of optical devices. When we're familiar with movie cinemas, we're familiar with big screen projection televisions. These shadow plays would have been not for a single viewer, but would have been for sort of quite substantial numbers of viewers within an audience.
Richard believes he has unraveled the mysterious instrument that created such images. an ancient magical lantern.
This is a little bamboo frame. We've got like parchment paper stretched tautly over the sides of the box. And this is the little fan, turbine if you want to call it that. And the hot air rising from the candles, which will be inside the lantern. The hot air rises through these and just causes it to rotate. We're going to have 4 candles inside there. The little spike you can see in the middle is simply the support for the centre of this. And it uses like a kind of needle bearing in the top, i.e. a needle just running inside a small hole, which provides very, very little friction.
These simple devices were used to create complex stories of famous comedies, dances, journeys, and battles. Had the ancient Chinese magicians known to add one simple feature, an optical lens to aid in the projection of the images, then the advent of feature films may have advanced some 2 millennia. And the world of Hollywood today would perhaps be unrecognizable. 5,000 years before the Chinese magic lantern came a yet more amazing ancient invention. A map of the skies, written into the ground, that launched the birth of megacities themselves. New York is a megacity in every sense of the word. 1 million people travel across to Manhattan. $65 billion flows through the city's markets. Over 100,000 tourists arrive to marvel at the city's wonders every single day. This mass of synchronized events would instantly collapse without the mastery of one simple innovation: telling the time.
What's fascinating is that from about 4000 BC, humans become obsessed with dividing the day into smaller and smaller and smaller units of time. There's something about us, we desperately want to portion our day.
As our technology has advanced, societies have grown around central timekeeping devices. From ancient Chinese sundials to the medieval water clocks of the Middle East, clocks are the linchpin of human civilization.
Clocks are in every city. I mean, they're in every city today. They were right at the heart of every ancient city as well.
Yet the very first clocks did not measure hours. They measured days, months, even years. They were ancient calendars. A recent discovery of a mammoth calendar, 220 feet across, shows the ancients kept time on an interplanetary scale, with far greater accuracy than we would ever have thought possible. In the remote countryside of eastern Germany, archaeologist Andreas North took a plane journey across an area thought to contain nothing more than farmland.
The Henge monument was discovered by aerial photographs because of the differences in color in the bottom. So we can see the ditch, but only the ditch.
The images revealed a set of strange, unexplained markings. A ground-level investigation revealed evidence of an ancient settlement and a fascinating circular monument. This discovery sent shockwaves through the world of archaeology. It dates to over 2,000 years before Egypt's Great Pyramid and almost 7,000 years before modern New York. And it is called Gosek Henge, the world's first public timekeeping device. Just as the citizens of New York gather for the grand New Year countdown at Times Square, so did Neolithic man come together for life and death rituals to mark the calendar's longest day.
This monument was connected with death, maybe with the past, but I think what is quite good visible here, it was connected with fertility. Yeah, because it was connected with the sun, and the sun brings the life every day, every year again.
After years of painstaking fieldwork, Andreas and his team have reconstructed the Gosek Henge. 2,000 wooden stakes have been driven into the ground to replicate the sacred calendar that stood here in the 5th millennium BC. The team have discovered that this is a monument aligned